Freya Ridings and the Weekends on BBC Radio Devon. Well, we're at the start of one anyway. And as I mentioned, quite a few people sort of take a takeaway for a Friday evening, or possibly, if you're feeling really posh, then go out and visit a restaurant. Now, for me, it's always going to be a curry right near the top there, which is very fortunate because Boom Kitchen, based in Ilfracombe, are with us on the phone in the way of James Dole. And now, James, you don't actually produce the curry, do you? You produce mixes so that we can try and get creative ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for having me on. The idea is that you can't go to your curry house every night, so we're trying to enable you to create kind of restaurant flavors at home. So you get all the benefits of kind of home cooking, but we make it easy for you. So we provide all the spices. We provide onion-based gravy stock so that you can kind of replicate the British Indian style takeaway. So yeah, we're here to really help you get creative in the kitchen.
So what's the passion for you for curry? I mean, I know what it is for me, but why are you've taken it to the nth degree? Were you a curry eater and now you thought, you know what, we can do something with this?
Well, I've always had a passion for curry, but what really kind of motivated me to get into it is my friend Carl, when I tried his curries for the first time. Because I grew up, with quite a kind of traditional menu at home, and by the time I left home, I could, my repertoire is like a spaghetti bolognese and Finder's crispy pancakes. So I didn't really, kind of grow up with loads of spices or learn from a young age. So my experience of curries was just going out to or getting takeaways, from Indian restaurants. So I was amazed when my friend Carl, the other side of Boom Kitchen, and cooked me this curry, and I was just kind of blown away by it. And then I said, "Oh, could you give me the recipe?" And he reeled off, like 20 different ingredients. And I went to the local supermarket, and I couldn't get half of them. Spent about 30 quid just on spices, probably be more like 50 now. And it took me half a day just to kind of get the base gravy done. So the idea kind of came out of that. And so it's my friend Carl, who's an amazing kind of amateur cook at home. He's really kind of he's discovered lots of recipes. He's done a lot of traveling in his kind of youth, and he's kind of brought these all back, and it's packaging up kind of Carl's recipes in a format for a kind of idiot in the kitchen like me to pull together.
Well, I mean, this brings us to the next point, which is how easy is this to do? Now, I've got a selection of curry cookbooks at home, some of which have been really successful. Other ones I think people have eaten because I've cooked it rather than because they've actually enjoyed it. So, if you're a complete novice and you've got one of your kits, what's the likelihood you're going to end up with something where you go, do you know what, that was really nice and quite authentic?
Well, I hope that it's really high, and it's super easy. It's been kind of, like I said, designed for people with, like, next to no skills like myself. And we're actually kind of quite popular with children who are kind of starting to cook in the kitchen, and lots of people lots of our customers kind of tell us that they get things like our korma and our tikka, and they cook it and they let their kind of kids cook it for them. So it's really simple. Obviously, children need some supervision in the kitchen, but it's as simple as boiling a kettle, and then you dehydrate our onion-based gravy. So if you go into an Indian restaurant, you get that really kind of thick, rich sauce, which is quite difficult to recreate at home. And the jars that you can get in the supermarkets just aren't quite the same. And this is all to do with this kind of onion gravy that these Indian restaurants spend kind of hours and hours preparing and reducing down. So we create our own version of that, and it's almost I hate to say pot noodle style, but that's what it is. It's kind of a dehydrated onion gravy, and so all you need to do is add hot water to bring that back to life. And
Fantastic.
And the reason we kind of like that method is because it's dehydrated. It means we don't have to add any additives or preservatives. So we wanted to create really tasty curries, but we were also kind of conscious of our health. You probably wouldn't want to get an Indian takeaway every night, but
Oh, I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I think I went through a phase of
yeah.
my life soon after I left school, actually, where it's exactly that. But there you go.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of with you. And I went to Sri Lanka last year and I had one of up there with one of the top days of my life, where I had curry for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We were meeting some kind of suppliers over there, and it was just a perfect day. And with our kits, it's to go back to the original question. Sorry, I've been waffling, but it's super easy, because all we do is we give you the components that you just kind of throw in the pan, and it's almost as a case of 1, 2, 3, sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 components, and you add all your fresh ingredients at home. And when we started, so we're kind of 10 years old now. It's our 10th anniversary, just the end of last year. When we started, there wasn't as much of the kind of it wasn't as kind of prevalent, all of the dietary kind of requirements and all the allergens and gluten free, and our kits just happened to be gluten free at the time, so we started to shout about this. So what are great with our kits is that if you don't like chicken or you're a vegetarian, you can kind of substitute all of the key parts of the dish, but we just help you with the tricky spices, and like I said, we save you from having to get 30 different spices from the supermarket.
I like that. Listen, I want to talk about some of the things which are on the menu, and also about the business and how it's like to run a business and develop that. And we will do that straight after the Jam's Going Underground, which is next. It's the Jam and Going Underground. We're talking food. I'm getting very excited because we're talking curry, and I've been kind of nerding away with James off air, and we've been talking about the intricacies of curry. And I was just saying, James, that it's because if you're going to cook authentic Indian food, authentically, it's done in a tandoor, isn't it? Which is a kind of clay oven. So how do we get around that, or is this the sauces? So if we've cooked it some other way, we can add the sauces to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Indian restaurants, they have tandoors and kind of super hot ovens that most people don't have at home. I think there are some kind of electric kind of tandoors coming out. I haven't actually experimented with them, but what the Indian restaurants do to get their chicken super kind of moist is they actually soak it in salt water for a long time. And then marinate it before they cook it. So you can do that at home if you want. We give kind of different, for our we've got 8 different recipes, and sometimes there's a different approach that you can take with the chicken depending on the dish. So, for example, a tikka, we recommend that you marinate it. We give you a spice mix. Just for the marinade, so you mix your chicken with yogurt. The spice mix that we give you, you add some lemon juice. A key part of any marinade is you want that kind of acidity to kind of help the spices penetrate the surface of the meat, and then the yogurt kind of coats it all together. Bit of garlic, so that's your kind of chicken marinade for a tikka, and we say you can do this overnight, but then some people used to write into us and say, "Oh, I was expecting curry straight away, and I didn't realise I had to wait overnight." So we kind of tweak the instructions to say you can do it straight away, or for kind of best results, you kind of leave it overnight and and allow those spices to penetrate a little bit more. But for it, sorry, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, it was a wild guess. I'm guessing that chicken tikka masala is one of your best sellers.
Yeah. Although ours is a tikka Tarka masala.
Go on.
So, because we're based in Braunton, and home of Henry Williamson and Tarka the otter. So, a tikka Tarka is like a tikka, just a little otter.
Oh.
So, that's terrible.
But no otters were harmed in the making of this curry. I'm assuming there. But,
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Vegan friendly.
Fantastic.
Love the otters.
Now, I mean, let's talk about the business here, because so you're celebrating your 10th anniversary, presumably a curry to celebrate. But you've won awards, and especially through the pandemic. I mean, this might have been a dream, I suppose, because people had a chance to actually experiment at home, and it was ideal for you, was it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we almost felt a bit guilty, and because we had such a good time during the pandemic. But I think it gave obviously people a lot more time at home, and people started kind of they had the time to to experiment with food and to expand their repertoire, I guess. And because we kind of send curry through the post, and just to kind of reassure people, it's not wet. You're not going to get kind of tikka stains dripping down your letterbox. It's all dry, dry ingredients. So yeah, we send it through the post. So it was the kind of the perfect conditions for us, and we had like we sold more curry kits during the pandemic year than we did in like the 5 years previously. So it was really incredible. But it was also very challenging because it was really difficult to get hold of certain,
Of course, yeah.
all types of even things like cardboard and getting things printed, and with 30 kind of over 30 different spices, if you can't get hold of green cardamom in one day, all of a sudden the whole operation can, excuse the pun, grind to a halt. So it was it was a challenge, but it was just great to be getting our product out there. And what really motivates us is just the thought that people are it's a great business because you're making people happy. I've had jobs before where you're dealing with people and they're not always happy, but it's just such a lovely business to be in, the food. Have
industry.
You
seen people kind of, you see someone and they'll order, a chicken tikka masala kit or something, and then, all of a sudden they're coming back and ordering, different types of curries and to experience the different flavours?
Yeah, well, we get a mixture. We get and we actually about a year ago we started to map which parts of the country were kind of ordering more of the kormas and the tikkas versus.
This is interesting stuff.
We were just interested in and I think we found that Middlesbrough were ordering the highest the highest ratio of kind of like vindaloo and jalfrezi types. So they liked it hot up there, but closer to home in Devon, we were more kind of taking it steady with tikkas and boonas and that sort of heat.
Okay,
but we
it's
do
not
have
about the heat though, is it? It's about the flavour. just having a ridiculously hot curry is no benefit to anyone.
No, absolutely. And so our hottest curry, and we've got one customer who just orders our Lady Naga, which is like our twist on a vindaloo, and she orders it for her dad because she says her dad's taste buds aren't what they used to be, and it's like the only curry he can appreciate the flavour to, and she orders nothing but vindaloo for him, and yeah, you're right. You don't just want to, and this is a good tip for people cooking at home. Even if you don't have our kits, but if you're cooking if you add too much chili powder, it can give you a really kind of unpleasant burning sensation, like in the front of your mouth. Whereas with our kit, we don't actually add much chili powder to it. There is a dash in there, but we provide a Naga boot jolokia chili, which is nicknamed the ghost chili, and there's a special scale for measuring the firepower of chilies, which I won't bore you with, but this is really, really punchy on that scale, kind of like hundreds of times hotter than a kind of jalapeno, and or even thousands. But with that, when you use whole chilies in your dishes, you get a much nicer kind of flavour, and the heat builds in a different way. So instead of burning in the front of your mouth, you get this kind of weird central heating sensation in your body, and it starts off, and then you just get hotter and hotter towards the end, and it's kind of I love the experience. It's not for everyone, but I certainly like the hot ones.
All right, well, listen, James, it's brilliant talking to you. So where can people find out more about cooking curries at home?
Well, I mean, they can go to our website, boomkitchen.co.uk. There's great resources, great YouTube channels that can give you tips if you're looking to hone your craft. we're lucky to be stocked in lots of kind of independent stores around Devon and further afield. But I'd recommend starting off with we've got starter boxes where you can get to try a selection of different curry kits. So I recommend giving it a go, and just you can, and we really encourage people to get in touch with us. I suppose all businesses do, but we encourage people to share their cooks with us on social media. We share our WhatsApp details so people can ask us if they need any help while they're cooking. Just give it a go. And I've been cooking boom curries now for 10 years, without fail, once a week, and almost every curry is different because you can always incorporate an ingredient you're trying to use up. You can try a different technique, so you almost never stop learning with curry, which is why it's such a fascinating dish.
It really is. James, listen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I am beginning to salivate uncontrollably already. So thank you very much. I look forward to trying to expand my cooking repertoire from the failed attempt at Bombay potatoes, which I did last time and poisoned half the family, and to do something far more palatable. James, thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.